years old company having 8,500 customers. We are in leaders quadrant for Gartner. We come out with our IPO in 2013. We have publicly listed in NYSE. And if anybody checking the NPS score, which is Net Promoter Score, we are 85 in Net Promoter Score. We are the highest in the industry. Okay, that gives us major advantage. 50 plus countries we are having a presence, and almost 6 quarters old in India, having 75 plus installations in India, but then we are growing. We are growing. Customers, when we talk about 8,500 customers, this is what the list of customers are, and they varies from Coca-Cola to Verizon to multiple other stuff. So basically, we work with all the variables or verticals in the industry. Okay, all the enterprise class applications which works is we are very good in that. And when we talked about the digital transformation here, when we talked about, everybody talks about digital transformation, that wave needs to be, you need to ride that wave with the complete different approach. And what we are saying is, whatever the architecture we have, with that architecture we can help you to ride that wave. Okay, from India customer point of view, almost 75 plus customers. This is some of the customer list, right from Tata Sky, Dish TV, KBR, Dhanlaxmi Bank, Cisco, Siemens, multiple financial organizations and all those stuff. So basically what we are saying is, we have a completely unique architecture. We have completely unique architecture helping you ride that digital transformation wave. And that is what we always talks about, saying, okay, when the architecture is different, you can do this. How many of you are not using your smartphones? You are not using your smartphones for your Google Map. You are not using for your smartphones for Olas, Ubers, and all those stuff. How many of you are there? You are not using anything? Surprising. So we should meet later on, absolutely. Because normally everybody is either going for the Google Maps, going for Uber, going for Olas and all those. This is what killing a lot. This circle kills a lot way, because if I want to take a left turn, if I'm not getting that data, I'm missing that left turn. And in Delhi, I know yesterday I was in Delhi, Gurgaon highway. If you miss that left turn, you are losing at least 30 minutes. Correct? So basically, this circle which is saying loading, loading, loading makes major problem to your complete day-to-day life. What that means overall at the back end, when we are seeing this circle is, basically what happens in that case is, your application and the data which is sitting in at the back end, there is a app data gap there happening. So basically what we are saying is, your complete data delivery gets slowed because of there is app data gap. Okay, so you are not able to see the left turn which you were supposed to see 2 minutes or 2 seconds back, and you missed it. You missed that half an hour taking the U-turn and coming back. Basically what we have seen, and whenever there is app data gap, there is always indication that, okay, there is a storage problem. Okay, nobody think about, okay, anything else. It is only and only storage problem. Everybody goes back to the storage. But when we do analysis of the complete app data gap, we have found that 48% only is due to the storage. Rest all, 52% is away from storage. It is not dependent on the storage. It is completely different. It is because of the configuration. It is because of the best practices are not followed in the complete environment. All that contributes to your complete big data gap. Okay, so it is not only a storage which is creating this problem. And that is what we are talking about. What we are doing majorly is, and if you see app data gap, this is some of the analysis. 47% of people are saying 10% of his time in a day-to-day activity he is losing because this app data gap. I'm losing that time because I'm not taking that left turn on time. And then I have to go straight, take a U-turn and come back again. That 10% people are saying, my 10% of my time is losing. This is 47% people are talking about. People are talking about I'm getting less tolerant, with 59% people are talking about I'm getting less tolerant. You click your cell phone, you click on Facebook and it is not opening up. You click on your WhatsApp, it is not opening up. How much patience we have now? We lost that patience. We say it has to come fast. Why there is 4G? Why there is not able, I'm not able to browse my complete data. So basically we are becoming more and more intolerant in terms of getting the data from the application, from the back end. What we are saying is with our architecture, we are bridging that gap. So with the all flash arrays, everybody talking about all flash array giving you high performance, we have all flash and hybrids clubbing together, and we come out something called unified flash fabric, wherein your all flash array and hybrid array can work in a single storage box. So you can decide which application can sit on all flash and which application can sit on the hybrid. So how much is the performance? Everybody talks about the numbers, so I just want to put it across. How much is the performance we are talking about? We are talking about 1.2 million IOPS. We are talking about 8 petabyte of capacity from all flash array itself. And the latency is less than 1 millisecond. So when you say app data gap, I'm reducing that latency or reducing that gap which is less than 1 millisecond now. Okay? How much I can go up to? I can go up to 8 petabyte. How much I can go up to in terms of IOPS? I can go up to 1.2 million IOPS. Now, this is one part of it. The second part to this is how I scale, because that is something which is very crucial. I start small, and then how my complete infrastructure will grow when I grow in my business. So basically, we start small. You can increase your capacity by adding the expansion shelf. It is a standard practice. But then, adding the expansion shelf, but then you can change your controllers online to change your IOPS online. So basically, you start small as 35,000 IOPS, you go up to 1.2 million IOPS without adding a single spindle. And this is what the differentiator for us is. We are saying your IOPS, your storage performance, irrespective of the backend spindles. It is dependent on the CPU and memory which we provide onto your model. And that is what the big advantage for us is. So instead of adding a single spindle at the back end, I can change my IOPS to a 4 times. So we are talking about something around 1.2 million IOPS and 8 petabyte of capacity with this kind of architecture. Now, when we say I can do all flash and adaptive together, so basically if your application is Oracle and SAP and then you have reporting infrastructure on the hybrid array, I can move this, say month end, I want to move it, my reporting has to be as fast as possible. So I can move this transparently without your application having an impact. This is again very, very crucial. So I can do this without application understanding that, okay, I'm moving from hybrid to all flash or from all flash to hybrid. This is, application is not aware of it at all. So basically your infrastructure, we are utilizing your infrastructure maximum by using this kind of transferring of your volumes from one tier to the other tier of the storage. Now, when we talk about the TCOs, we are doing 66% lesser TCOs, so we are doing data reduction. We are doing 5x of data reduction. So how we do is, we do something called, we are using 3D NAND drives for your all flash. So if you see rightly, when there was some discussion happened recently which talks about my SSDs becoming the write cycle of the SSD and read cycle of the SSDs and all the stuff, we are using 3D NAND drives to give you maximum resiliency in that case. We are using 3D NAND drives to give you more capacity, okay, as compared to a SSDs which is very having that write amplification problem. So we are resolving that write amplification problem by using 3D NAND drives. We are compressing your data big time. We are deduplicating your data big time. So 5x reduction in your complete environment. And then we are taking care of your backup, DR and archival. So there is nothing called a separate software required to take a backup, or there is no separate software required for doing a DR kind of activities. It is bundled together. So operating system has everything what a complete infrastructure will require. Enterprise class infrastructure, whatever it requires, my complete operating system will have all those informations, all those softwares required to utilize and get into that infrastructure. 3D NAND drives, what is the use of 3D NAND drives? 7 years of SSD lifespan. So basically, we understand that the SSDs The earlier SSDs has its own lifespan problem. So we are going ahead with the new technologies. We are going ahead with the 3D NAND drives, which gives better life cycle than a standard older SSD drives earlier. Any queries, sir? Sorry. So we go with the 3D NAND drives, we go with the increased performance. We are giving you more usable capacity by doing the reduction in the capacity by using inline deduplication, doing inline compression of your data. So basically, this is what we are talking about. I'm doing compression, which is variable block compression. We are doing variable block deduplication, compressing and deduplicating your data 5x time. So we are reducing your footprint 5x time. And then the next advantage for us is you start with your all-flash array into your production and do a DR onto a hybrid array, which is normally not possible in a traditional approach. What we are saying is all-flash array can replicate to a cost-effective hybrid array on the DR side. Okay? There is no software required. This is storage-to-storage replication, block level, incremental replication happening. Okay? Major advantage because you don't have to have a complete same environment of all flash on the DR side, not required. You can have all flash on the production, you can have hybrid on the other side. It can be possible. So basically when you go to the traditional approach, this is how it looks like. You need to do a D2D backup, then you need to do a replication. So tier 3 is required for disaster recovery as well as backup purpose. What we are saying is in the storage itself, you can do snapshots and then replicate that snapshot into the DR site. So you don't require any other storage or any other component to do this DR as well as replication. Everything is integrated in the Nimble storage itself. So you require 2 Nimble storages from production. You just replicate into the DR site, and you can have multiple different policies of snapshot onto the DR site. There is no dependency that, okay, your production can have different snapshot strategy, your DR can have a completely different snapshot strategy. And then you can do a cloning also. So basically what we are saying is in case you want to give these snapshots for test and development, or you want to do it for backup purpose and all those, you can do it by doing a clones of it. You can have multiple clones of that snapshot and you can give it, again, no space required for it. It is just a copy of snapshot. So you don't require a space to get this cloning done. Resiliency part, we are committing 99.9997%. So 5 nines and 7. With the latest operating system, we are committing 6 nines. So basically, we are committing you the 6 nines in the environment. We are committing you triple plus parity rate. This is again huge advantage because normally if you talk to a traditional approach, they will be giving you maximum protection is 2 drive failure. We are giving you simultaneous 3 drive failure in your environment, still your data is protected. So we are going one step ahead. We are talking about triple plus parity. We are integrated, so all the backup softwares and snapshots and replications are integrated in the operating system. And encryption, which is again unique feature in this case, is normally in case you want to do in your environment, you want to do encryption, you have to have SED drives, which is self-encrypted drives, or you have to have a controller doing this encryption. What we are saying is you can select a specific volume and you can do encryption on the fly. There is no requirement saying, okay, encryption can be treated as a completely different software feature requirement itself. So we can do encryption on per volume level. These are some of the models. I just want to highlight that, okay, we talked about these models. We talk about the IOPS. We talk about the performance on day one. We are not dependent on the back-end spindles to give you IOPS. So basically what we are showing here is you can start with 35,000 IOPS. You can go up to 300,000 IOPS in all flash without having any configuration specification in terms of back-end spindle. You can have 11 TB of capacity. You can have 2 petabyte of capacity. Your IOPS remain the same. And then since I am media agnostic, when we talked about the hybrid array, your performance remains same. So 35,000, 120,000, 230,000 IOPS, I can give you from the same CPU and memory models which we are configuring. So basically, all flash array gives you less than 1 milliseconds of latency, and hybrid gives you less than 3 milliseconds of latency. That's it. So the two difference between the two models is the latency component, and the IOPS remain same as per the data sheets what we are talking about. Now, earlier speaker talked about the big data analysis and all those stuff. What we are doing is, normally, if you see the support infrastructure, many people does it manually still. So you send the logs to the OEM support. OEM support will analyze that log and tell you what the problem is. What we are doing is, every array of Nimble will have software sensor inside the operating system. So you don't have to put the logs to our support center whenever there is a problem. What we are doing is, every 5 minutes, I'm collecting the logs, almost 20 million to 100 million software sensor data. Every 5 minutes, I'm collecting that particular logs. And what we have is the backend. So how much we are collecting? In 4 hours, we are collecting almost stars of the galaxy. In 4 hours, we are collecting almost stars of the galaxy, is the huge data we are collecting. And every array of Nimble puts that data into a big data analysis at the backend. So we have a capability wherein we compare those two snapshots, and if there is abnormality between these two snapshots, we open up a case. Okay? Completely different way of supporting. If you compare that with the traditional approach, we are completely different in the support. We are more proactive. We are more proactive than anybody else, because we are just comparing the snapshots. There is somebody at the back end who is observing your array 24/7, 365 all the time. And this is every 5 minutes logs. So every 5 minutes somebody is observing your array. That is a huge advantage as compared to a traditional approach. We don't have to shift any logs. There is no log shipping at all. Okay, so in case of a problem, we are not asking for logs at all. We don't have L1, L2 engineers. We have only L3 engineers available, which will talk to the customer, which will talk to the client and gets the problem resolved. So we are fastest in resolution time. We are fastest in understanding what the problem is. We are fastest in finding out the root cause of that problem. And then, since I have the complete logs with me, what we do is, we take that logs, we do an analysis part of it. We do trend analysis of it. We do, we can talk to each and every volume and find out what is the read-write ratio of each volume, how many IOPS I am doing per volume, how much is the cache hit ratio of each volume. I can do all that with this info site, okay? Which is again part of the operating system. You don't have to spend anything. You don't have to put any extra infrastructure to get this info site data. Every 5 minute data, my array will be putting it to my backend big data analysis engine. 2 slides. So I'll just skip this. The major slide what we talked about is, we are talking about what InfoSight talks about is the visibility beyond storage. We can get integrated with the vCenter, and I can find out in your VM infrastructure if there is any latency problem, if there is any host related problem, is there any network related problem. We can identify that, and then we can put it to your administrator to work on it. So basically, when we talked about the Nimble storage, we work very closely with all these application vendors and hypervisors, as well as we work very closely with the data protection guys like Veeam and Commvault and Symantec to get the data backed up into disk-to-disk backup. No licenses. So this is my last slide, which talks about no licenses at all. All the softwares are part of the operating system. So we are not selling any license at all. We are giving you by default deduplication and compression. So there is nothing called a separate license or performance impact because of the compression and deduplication. It is by default enabled, and still we commit to you some specific IOPS, as I already showed you in the data sheets. We commit to you the latency